औज़ुबिल्लाहिमिनश्शैतानिर्रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। आज हमारा टॉपिक है हज़रत यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम। Joseph means Yusuf alayhi salam. It is repeated. He was born in Fudan, Aram city of Iraq. His father was Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam. His mother was Rahil. It is repeated. His wife was Zulekha. It is repeated. His sister was Dina. His real brother was Benjamin. It is repeated. He had 10 brothers. It is repeated. He had 2 sons, Ephraim and Mansha. He had 1 daughter named Rahmat bint Yusuf. She was wife of Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam. In 1910 BC, he was thrown in the waterless whale by his 10 brothers. When he was in whale at that time, his age was 16 years. It is repeated. He was 3 days in the whale. The whale was in Jerun Rutain Valley in Canaan. The whale was 8 kilometers away from his village. This whale is mentioned in Quran in Surah Yusuf ayat 10 और 15. The whale of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam is in Syria. Malik bin Dober draw out him from the whale. It is repeated. His brothers sold him in the 22 dirhams to the Malik bin Dober. It is repeated. Malik bin Dober took him to Egypt. He sold him as a slave in the Egypt. The king Hyksos rule was in 2000 BC. The ruler of Egypt at that time was Rayyan bin Walid. It is repeated. Egypt's capital city was Ramses. It is repeated. Egypt's army officer was Potiphar. It is repeated. Quran says Potiphar Aziz Misr. Potiphar bought him from the market in 1600 BC. Potiphar's wife was Zulekha. He stayed in Potiphar's palace for 3 years. He stayed in prison for 10 years. He was famous for known facts of dreams and his beauty. King dreamed that 7 weak cows eat 7 fat cows. In 1897 BC, he became chief finance minister of Egypt at the age of 30 years. It is repeated. He ruled for 90 years in Egypt. In his era, Palestine was in the grip of dreadful famine. The famine took place all over the world in 1865 to 1822 BC. He died at the age of 120 years in Egypt in 1817 BC. First he was buried in Egypt. After 400 years, then Hazrat Musa alayhi salam took his body from Egypt and buried in Canaan. More information. Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam smelled his shirt from 80 miles. His family was called Israelis. It is repeated. He remained 40 years separate from his father. It is repeated. He and Hazrat Yaqub meet with each other after 40 years. Bani Israel went to Egypt as a tribe, means Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam's family with 73 members. Quran has said his story is Ahsanul Qasas, the life story of Yusuf alayhi salam. It is repeated. और ये बात कुरान पाक के अंदर सूरह यूसुफ में बयान की गई है और आयत नंबर 3 के अंदर. The word Yusuf is 26 times mentioned in 3 surahs.